this is Delta, and welcome to the Wrestling Time Post Show. It is still Friday, June 2nd, 2023. So tonight I will be reviewing both AEW Rampage and Friday Night SmackDown. But let's kick things off with Friday Night SmackDown. So tonight's SmackDown marked the 1000th day celebration of Roman Reigns' title reign. So obviously you guys know that weddings, celebrations, and contract signings in wrestling always end horribly. And there was drama at this 1000th day celebration. So during the celebration, Triple H came out and he awarded Roman Reigns a new title. This is the title that he awarded Roman Reigns. It is the Undisputed WWE Universal Championship. And honestly, it looks exactly the same as the Universal title and as the WWE title. It's literally the same design, just in a different color. But what are your thoughts on the new title? Did you guys like it? Were you guys a fan of this new title? Like, were you expecting a completely different design? And honestly, it makes sense that now Roman will only have one title, considering the fact that, Monday Night Raw has a heavyweight title. So obviously earlier in the night, Paul Heyman had tried to ensure from Adam Pearce that the Usos would not crash this party. But like I said, this is a celebration and things always go haywire. So the Usos come out and right away, I don't know whose the bright idea was it to go to commercial break, but they go to commercial break when the Usos come out. And then when they come back from commercial break, Jimmy gets in Roman Reigns' face. And Roman Reigns ordered Jey Uso to kick Jimmy in the face because that's what Jimmy Uso did. Roman Reigns ordered Jey to kick Jimmy in the face, I believe 2 times. Let me see. I expected more originality out of the new belt, especially after the very nice design we got with the World Heavyweight title Seth got. Yeah, exactly, right? But we didn't get that. So Jimmy says that Jake can't be the one who fixed this, that Roman is the one that needs fixing. He says that he did what he did because he was being a brother, and brothers treat each other with love and respect, and Reigns hasn't been a good brother. So he talks about what kind of brother hurts, betrays, and manipulates his own family. He says Reigns is, and then the crowd starts chanting for Jimmy, and Roman says that the reason why people are chanting for Jimmy is because of him. And he wants to hear from Solo and find out who Solo runs with and who he's loyal to. So Solo takes the microphone and he says that he acknowledges Roman Reigns, but the Usos are his brothers. So he joins them. And then Jimmy puts his hand in Roman's face. And Jey kind of gets involved and he says that they're better than this. And Jimmy tells Roman that he's his brother and that he still wants to be together. He still wants the bloodline to be together. That new belt is ugly, lazy, and it's just the same mind as the blue belt. Exactly. That's exactly what I said. Now, I gotta hand it to Roman Reigns here. He should get an Oscar for Best Actor because Homeboy starts fake crying. Yeah, he starts fake crying here. And he gives Jimmy Uso this big hug and they're supposed to, be happy, but nope. Roman, in the midst of the hug, says no. And then Solo Sikoa Samoan spikes Jimmy Uso. So, afterwards, Roman leaves with Heyman and Solo, and Jey Uso's left attending to Jimmy Uso. So, up in the ramp, you can hear Paul Heyman tell Roman, what about Jey? And Roman says Jey will do what he always does, and that's fall in line. And that is how SmackDown comes to a close. Honestly, I feel like this is going to lead to Roman with his crocodile tears, right? I feel like this is going to lead to Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa versus the Usos at Money in the Bank, and then maybe Jimmy Uso versus Roman Reigns at SummerSlam. That's where I think this is headed. And before I get into the show review, I just want to say, I honestly feel like this whole 1000 day celebration completely overshadowed everything else that happened on SmackDown. When Sikoa sided with the Usos, first I knew Sikoa was setting out. Yeah, definitely. So SmackDown tonight actually kicked off with a video package of Roman Reigns. They were celebrating his 1000 days, or they were showing all. Let me see. I still think Cody will face Roman at SummerSlam. Maybe. They were showing all the champions that he had surpassed, and one interesting person that they showed was actually CM Punk. Of course, they had to show CM Punk because CM Punk's famous for 34-day reign, right? So they showed him. It was like a quick blink and you miss it moment, though. And I have to say, WWE did a really good job at those video packages for Roman Reigns. That's one thing that WWE does the best, is those video packages. So tonight's SmackDown actually kicked off with an Austin Theory in-ring promo, and he's basically talking about how tonight is a special night because they're celebrating Roman Reigns' historical title reign. What he says is, I didn't spot Punk during at all. It was quick. It was a blink and you'll miss it moment. He talks about how it's almost as inspiring as the guy who beat John Cena at WrestleMania. He starts talking about how he's going to have the United States title forever, especially WWE keeps throwing him guys like Sheamus. And so they bring out Pretty Deadly because Pretty Deadly cost Sheamus the US title last week. And they come out and tell Austin Theory that it was their pleasure to destroy those ugly brawling brutes. So you know where this is going, player. Holla. So this leads into the first opening contest. It's a 6-man tag match. The Brawling Brutes versus Pretty Deadly and Austin Theory. I'm still not too familiar with Pretty Deadly. I don't watch NXT, so I don't know much about them. If you guys have a Pretty Deadly match that you'd like to recommend, let me know in the comment section or in the live chat so that I can cringe. Deadly, am not a fan of them. So I honestly thought this 6-man tag match was pretty fun. It went a little long. I feel like this was the longest match of the whole entire night. I think this got like 3 commercial breaks, but it was a pretty long match. I have to say let me see. They never had one memorable match, really. Okay. I have to say my 2 favorite spots in this match is when the Brawling Brutes each hit a white noise to Pretty Deadly and Austin Theory. And my second favorite spot was that triple 10 beats to the Baron to Pretty Deadly and Austin Theory. I thought those were really cool spots. Now, Pretty Deadly and Austin Theory did get the victory here after Pretty Deadly hit the spelt melt to Ridge Holland. And then Theory tagged himself in to get the pin. More like Pretty Badly. Really? Why does it... You guys aren't fans of Pretty Deadly? Huh. I have to check them out because I don't know much about them. So I can't make a decision as to whether or not. After this, we actually get 2 backstage segments. The first one features Dralistico and Paul Heyman. And this is basically Paul Heyman telling Dralistico that tonight has to be special for Roman Reigns and that they will acknowledge Roman Reigns tonight. And the second one is just the OC talking about AJ Styles' birthday, and AJ Styles tells him he wants him to take out Hit Row. So this leads into the Good Brothers versus Hit Row, which was a super short match. There's not much to discuss except for the fact that Ashante the Adonis immediately went after Carl Anderson, but they literally hit a magic killer, and it was a 1, 2, 3 to Ashante the Adonis, and they won here. The Good Brothers were victorious, but they made really quick work of Hit Row. And of course, after the match, you had a post-match assault on the Good Brothers by Top Dollar, but AJ Styles took care of him with a phenomenal forearm. And if you guys were paying attention, Michael Cole was doing his best to diss Hit Row, which I thought was pretty hilarious, but also kind of cringy at the same time. This is followed up with an Adam Pearce backstage segment, and this is basically Paul Heyman trying to get a confirmation from Adam Pearce that the Usos will not be there, and Adam Pearce basically says that the Usos, he canceled the Usos travel and doubled security. Says that this from Cole was awful. And we also find out that on Monday Night Raw, we're going to get an open challenge from Seth Rollins, and the person who answered that open challenge was none other than Damian Priest. That should be a good match, and I'm hoping it's a straight, clean finish, and there's no shenanigans involved, because that's the first title defense, and it needs to have a clean finish. Next, we get the Grayson Waller effect with Asuka, and the one part of this segment that I did like was when Io Sky came out and they were just speaking Japanese to each other, basically cutting a promo in Japanese, which I thought was a really fun part of the segment. But also too, like, I really hope this means we're gonna get Io Sky versus Asuka probably at SummerSlam. Hopefully, fingers crossed that happens. But then this segment went in a complete 180. So everybody started coming out: Bailey, Shotzi, Zelina. Lacey Evans came out dressed like Surgeon Slaughter. You know, I don't understand why they changed Lacey Evans' original character, the Southern Belle. There was nothing wrong with her Southern Belle gimmick. I actually really liked her Southern Belle gimmick. God, this segment was awful and a mess. Yeah, it was a truly mess. Mind you, the women's Money in the Bank matches hadn't even started. They were supposed to kick off with Lacey Evans versus Zelina Vega, yet all these women were out here. What was the whole point of this segment? It was a complete disaster here. The only part I liked was Asuka and Io Sky. And so as Asuka is leaving, Bianca Belair comes out and they get into a brawl. And if you look really closely, one of the officials trying to separate them is Jason Jordan. Lacey Evans is the female Big Show of gimmicks. It is hilarious. We get a quick backstage segment where Cameron Grimes, and who was found out that Baron Corbin went to NXT. How that happened, I guess it's revealed that he's a free agent, so he can go to NXT. Cameron Grimes says that the next time Baron Corbin shows his face on SmackDown, he will handle him. Again, I don't watch NXT, so who did he attack? Was it Carmelo Hayes, the NXT champion? Because I saw him hold up the title, so I'm assuming he attacked. Paul Heyman looks like the true undisputed champion because he's always carrying the belt around for Roman LL, right? All right. Speaking, let me see. Yeah, Corbin attacked Hayes. Okay. Speaking of the Money in the Bank, we get women's Money in the Bank qualifier match. It is Lacey Evans versus Zelina Vega. There's not much to talk about in this match. There really isn't. This match didn't do anything for me, honestly. Zelina Vega won. That's all you need to know. She won. She's qualifying for Money in the Bank. Baron Corbin needs to stay down in NXT for a while and get his lone wolf gimmick back. So after this, there's like a backstage segment with Zelina and the rest of the LWO, and they're basically just talking about how they're so proud of Zelina and how next week Eric Escobar has his qualifying match against Mustafa Ali. Gee, I wonder who's winning that. So after this, technically, this was the main event because this was the last match of the night. We get the men's Money in the Bank qualifier. It's Montez Ford versus LA Knight. And this was actually a really good match. The crowd was super behind LA Knight and we're booing Montez Ford, unless those noises were piped in. But I actually really like this match. And, you know, LA Knight doing a moonsault, despite the fact that he missed, was pretty impressive. Montez Ford doing a rock bottom to LA Knight. But of course, you know, LA Knight outsmarting Montez Ford by grabbing the ropes when he pinned him. So LA Knight now qualified for Money in the Bank. And then afterwards, he set up a ladder and he climbed it. And I'm going to stop my SmackDown review here because after this is Roman Reigns' 1000th celebration, which I already talked about. They might set up Montez Ford heel turn. And heel Montez Ford should be good. LA Knight qualified for Money in the Bank in the words of him. Yeah, definitely. I was happy he qualified. So overall, I didn't really enjoy tonight's SmackDown. The only two things I liked were the 6-man tag match and Montez Ford versus LA Knight. Aside from that, like I said at the beginning, Roman Reigns' 1000th day celebration pretty much overshadowed anything else that happened on tonight's show. And it was just not a good show tonight, if you ask me. 3 out of 10 mid-show. Really, you're giving it a 3 out of 10? I'll be generous and give it a 5 out of 10 just because I did like those two matches. But overall, that's it for SmackDown. So now let's talk about everyone's favorite Friday night show, AEW Rampage, which kicked off with an incredible Lucha Libre match. It was the AAA Mega Championship match, Hijo del Vikingo versus Komander versus Dralistico. This was a great way to kick off AEW Rampage. And correct me if I'm mistaken, but I believe tonight's Rampage was the first Rampage that's back on its regular slot, right? This was an incredible match. Awesome way to kick off Rampage. All three men displaying phenomenal feats of Lucha Libre. They're all fantastic, if you ask me. El Hijo del Vikingo successfully retained. Let me see. Last week it was back at. Oh, really? It was? I missed it last week. Was it? Oh, that's right. I was watching Under Siege. El Hijo del Vikingo doing a 630 senton from the middle rope to Komander through a table. That was a really cool spot. Not only that, but the Hurricanrana that he did to Dralistico, which he followed up with the Phoenix Splash. Incredible. And El Hijo del Vikingo was successfully retained his title here. So awesome way to kick off to Rampage. We get a quick backstage segment with Jay Lethal, Jeff Jarrett, Sanjay Dutt, and Satan Singh. It's a backstage interview / interview. And basically, we're finding out that Sanjay Dutt and the rest of them will be suspended. But Jay Lethal says that if they get suspended, Audrey Edwards should get suspended too. Mark Briscoe interrupts and says there's not going to be any suspensions because he talked to Tony Khan. And instead, now it kind of seems like they're hinting at a mixed tag match here between Mark Briscoe and Audrey Edwards versus Jeff Jarrett and Karen Jarrett. I hope they don't do a match with Karen and Aubrey. It seems like they're hinting at it here. They definitely kind of hint at it at this segment because the segment ends with Audrey choking out Karen Jarrett. So we have to wait and see. Next, we get the New Japan World TV Championship match. It was Action Andretti versus Zack Sabre Jr., which is a match I actually was looking forward to. And during this match, Zack Sabre Jr. had control of Action Andretti with that wrist control. But Action Andretti threw it back at Zack Sabre Jr. You'd rather take a leak than watch that god-awful match when it happens. Okay, fair enough. Action Andretti hitting a chest chop, a drop kick, and a hurricanrana to Zack Sabre Jr. Zack Sabre Jr. doing body scissors to Action Andretti. You get the drop toe hold and a stomp to the tricep to Action Andretti. Action Andretti doing the hurricanrana to Zack Sabre Jr. I really like the thrust kick that he followed up with the reverse hurricanrana to Zack Sabre Jr. And then Zack Sabre Jr. successfully retains his title. My one complaint about this match is that I wish it would have gone on just a little bit longer. I wanted to see more. This is a good match. Okay, so then we get the New Japan Strong Women's Championship match. It's Emi Sakura versus Willow Nightingale. This was also a good match. Emi Sakura took it to Willow Nightingale, and You know, if Nightingale wasn't careful in this match, she would have lost her title. But I really like this match. There was a lot of shoulder tackles here and a lot of cross bodies. Emi Sakura doing a shoulder tackle to Willow. Willow doing one back to Emi Sakura. Emi Sakura doing a crossbody to Willow through the ropes. And then onto the barricade. Willow Nightingale did a crossbody to Emi Sakura. Emi Sakura hit Willow with chest chops. And then finally, when Willow pulled down her strap, she meant business, and she hit the Dr. Bomb to Emi Sakura, and she successfully retained her New Japan Strong Women's title. So, good match. And then our main event was a ROH Pure Championship match. It was Lee Moriarty versus, and forgive me if I mispronounce this, Katsuyori Shibata? This was a good match. Lee Moriarty used all 3 of his rope breaks. The first one was to get out of the triangle. The second one was to get out of the figure 4. And then I didn't catch the third one, but I know he used all 3. Lee Moriarty put Shibata in the Motor City stretch. And of course, at the start of the match, both men absorbed the Code of Honor. And so Shibata was victorious here. And at the end of the match, Daniel Garcia, who was once Ring of Honor Pure Champion, came out and stood face-to-face to Shibata. So it leads me to believe that Daniel Garcia wants that Pure title back. What did I think of Roman's new belt? I wasn't a huge fan of Roman's new belt. It's exactly the same as the other ones. The only difference is the color. Says, I think it might be Daniel Garcia versus Shibata at Ring of Honor Death Before Dishonor for the Pure title. 5 out of 10. Okay, sure, but was more of a deeper New Japan ROH than AEW. That is true. They did stack this show, and I like this show a lot better than I did Friday Night SmackDown. But you do bring up a good point. This was more of a deeper New Japan Ring of Honor show than it was AEW. But this was a pretty stacked Rampage. So, but if I had to choose what was a better show, I'd say Rampage was better than SmackDown. But that's just my opinion. You can feel free to disagree. Roman's new belt looks like a beginner level created title under the 2K. Let me see. Rampage, better show. Yeah, definitely. Rampage was the better show. Alrighty. So with that being said, that concludes this review. And thank you guys all so much for watching and for the continuous support. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell so you get notified whenever I go live or I release a new video. And it means the world that you guys are tuning in. I know it's a little late, especially for some of you guys, but thank you so much for just tuning in. This is my first live stream back after who knows how many weeks of recording. That was a fast review. Yeah. I did review SmackDown first. It's 2 a.m. here. Oh, wow. But, yes, thank you guys for tuning in. I did review SmackDown first. If you want to see that, you could go back to the beginning and watch that. And I hope to see you guys Monday, maybe after all. Maybe not immediately after all, but I hope to see you guys Monday. Bye.